I will try to explain here the Hansen's notation or Hansen's code. You know, the under-over thing. I will first show the Oslo stitch because many people know it. In Oslo stitch you have one loop around thumb and then you pick up one loop behind thumb. When you're reading the Hansen's notation, you will need to take your work off your thumb and keep it flat in front of you. And you read the code here from the left to right, but in your work you read it in circular, starting from the right bottom corner and going to the upper left. So the U stands for under and O stands for over, and the slash here means that the direction of the yarn or the needle changes. So for the Oslo stitch we need to go under and over, then turn the needle and go under and over, and the last letter here means that the working yarn crosses itself. So let's go first under and over, under and over, under, over, and now I will change the direction of the needle and go under, over, over. This is the under, and there the needle, and here the needle goes over, and finally over the working yarn itself. So it's under, over, this is the slash moment, under, over and over. And if we look at the stitch we just finished, you can see it here. The yarn goes under, then it goes over this loop, and this is the slash, the direction of the yarn changes, and the yarn goes under and finally over these two, and the last letter here, the yarn crosses itself. If you have the work on your thumb, it may look a bit confusing to take the under, but if you do it like this, you take first the under and over and keep them in position, and then flip one thumb loop on this place. You can see the work looks like this. You have here one thumb loop which you do not pick, and then you pick up one loop behind the thumb, and if you keep the needle in position it looks like this, under and over. And when you turn the needle to be ready to be pushed under the thumb loop and the working yarn, this is where the slash moment happens. You have here this one loop behind the thumb, turn the needle, and the needle automatically goes. This is under, which is here, under. And then you finish the stitch by inserting the needle under thumb loop and under the working yarn, which look like two O's, over and over, when you take your work off your thumb. So the under and over, the needle goes under and over, turn the needle, this is the slash moment, and finish the stitch. And if you take your work off your thumb and look at it, you can see there are under and over. This is the slash, under, over and over. I think it's easier to remember if you think this first letter means the number of loops which you have around your thumb. In this case there's one U, one thumb loop, and one O, one loop to pick up behind the thumb. And when you are doing the second row, it's good to remember that the connection stitch here, whether, I'm not sure if you can see the green, yeah, the connection stitch, this is, let's play, this is the second row, and we are connecting the new stitches to the second row, sorry, to the first row. So you do not count the connection stitch into this Hansen's code. You take the connection stitch, whether it's 1 or 2 from the front, or 1 or 2 from the back, or whatever. Anyway, you take the connection stitch or stitches, and then you do the Hansen's notation. Under and over, turn the needle, under and over and over. So the previous row, the connection stitches on the edge, do not count them. So if we have a look at the yoke stitch, in Oslo stitch we have under and over and slash, but in York stitch we have 2 unders and a slash. When you have the York stitch on your thumb, you can keep it like this, have 2 loops here and just go from behind there, or 1 loop here and 1 there and go like this. The result is just the same whether you have the loops around your thumb or just 1 behind the thumb. The point is that you do not go from the front into the loop like in Oslo stitch, but from the behind. So the Hansen's notation for yoke is 2 times under. We take under, and then the direction of the needle changes, and the rest are overs. Under, under, over, over, and over. Under and under, turn the needle, and over and over and over. 2 times under, slash, over, over and over. If we go back to the Oslo stitch, there was 1 thumb loop and 1 to be picked up from the behind of the thumb, and then do the mammon stitch. There is the mammon stitch, you have 1 thumb loop and you pick up 2 loops behind the thumb. One loop here and 2 loops here. I'm doing a couple of stitches so that the loops will get in better order. So the Hansen's notation for the mammon stitch is under and over over slash. Under and I'm pulling the yarns a bit looser. Under and over and over. Turn the needle and go under and under, under, and over itself. So here's the first under and then over and over. This is the slash, and then the needle goes under, under, and over and over. Under and over 2, over, turn needle and under, and over and over. Under, over 2, slash, under 2 and over 2. If you have the mammon stitch on your thumb, so just like in York stitch, I think it's easier if you think the first letter tells how many loops you have around your thumb. Here we have one under, so we have one loop around the thumb, and we have 2 overs, and we know in mammon stitch we'll pick up 2 loops behind the thumb. 1 thumb loop, 2 loops onto the needle from behind the thumb, and if we keep the needle in position and flip the work, so you can see there's under and over, and we are in the point of the slash. It happens here, and then finish the stitch. And if we take the work of the thumb, so there's under and over, this is the slash, or under, over, and if we flip it back on the thumb, it looks like this. 1 loop around thumb, 2 loops onto the needle, slash, and when you turn the needle, these 2 happen at the same time. These there, the needle goes under 2, and finish the stitch by inserting the needle under the thumb loop and under the working yarn, which is over, and it looks like over when you flip the work off your thumb. For the finished stitch 2 plus 2, you have 2 loops around the thumb, and you pick up 2 loops from behind the thumb. I'm doing a couple of stitches to get the loops in better order. So, like the name tells, finished stitch 2 plus 2, there are 2 unders and 2 overs, and 2 unders means we have 2 loops around the thumb, and 2 overs means we pick up 2 loops onto the needle. And when we take the work of the thumb and spread it flat. I think you can see it there. If we look at the previous loop, the yarn goes under 2 and then it goes over these 2 yarns here. This is the slash. The yarn goes under these 2 yarns and continues over and finally over itself. This is the one stitch. If you're working flat, you take 2 under and under, over, turn the needle, take under, and finally over and over. This is a bit tight, but maybe you can see it there. So first under, over, the slash, under, and finally over.